Nerazzurri fans from all over the world, welcome to the Interglobe. Oh God, 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 when it rains, it does pour on Inter. It's always like that. We go from glory to a state of complete disappointment and depression in a matter of weeks. If I only think about the last month and a half, things have been going down the drain so fast. First, the match with Milan. Before that match of the second leg of the Coppa Italia with Milan, we were just, in total bliss, celebrating Inzaghi as the best coach of Inter history and with a bright future with our team, hoping that he would become the next Ferguson and stay 20 years with us. In a matter of a month and a half, we lost yet another derby for 3-0 with an incredible defeat that took us out of the Coppa Italia. And okay, no more triplete, but at least we were hoping we could win Serie A and do well in the Champions League. And then after that, we started, Inter Roma 0-1. Yes, with a penalty on Bissek that wasn't given by the refs, but still, you can't have at your disposal 70 minutes to change the course of the game and not be able to score. So we lost with Roma, then the incredible tie with Lazio that condemned us while we were just 5 minutes away from Serie A's championship to lose it. So it was really harsh, much worse than when we lost against Milan, because at least Milan did win the 7 last matches of Serie A, so they kind of a little bit deserved. But now Napoli, they just playing so badly, giving us match point after match point, first with Venezia, then with Genoa, then even in Parma. So we really had it on our side. We had all the chances, and yet we lost what I think was the number one objective of the team, or what it had to be defined as the number one objective of the team. We lost it because we were too ambitious, and we reached for the stars, and we ended up with nothing. And then, on top of ending up with nothing, the final brought us that 5-0 that will be something that stays in history. And we had to suffer, all Inter fans had to suffer tremendously for the jokes and the memes for coming from the other supporters. I mean, justly in a way, because it was unacceptable. And on top of this, we even lose our coach, our beloved Simone. And on top of this, we hire Christian Chivu as the successor. Wow. The management should have been prepared for Inzaghi to leave, because already 2-3 weeks ago we had the news that the son of Inzaghi was participating in the contract definition with Al Ahly, or whatever the Farik this team is called. So they should have been prepared for him to leave, and they should have had already someone ready to join. 3 weeks ago, Allegri was still on the market, Sarri was still on the market, Italiano could have been at least contacted. So we ended up having 3 possible candidates, Chivu, Vieira, and Fabregas, who in the end clearly showed that we were not prepared at all for Inzaghi to leave. We were confident that we were going to be able to convince him. And that's a big problem, because we are ending up with 3 candidates who have been fighting not to be relegated in Serie B until 10 days ago. We have one, Fabregas, who has 2 seasons as a coach under his belt. We have Chivu, who played, couple of months in Serie A. And we have Vieira, who also played with Genoa for just a few weeks. So this clearly says that we were not prepared. And among these 3, we don't even have the power to convince Fabregas to leave Como. The coach of Como refuses coming to Inter. What the hell is this? The finalist of the Champions League? And now we go with Kivo. Kivu is a great player. We all remember him. He's a triplete hero, but he has no experience, and he was discarded by Inter as not being capable of being the coach of under 23, and that's why he went to Parma. And now we bring him back as the coach of the main squad. I mean, so, after 2002, when we lost that crazy Serie A title against Lazio, we had Ronaldo leave the team. After 2010, despite the triumph and the bliss that Mourinho gave us, the same night of the final he left. He didn't even come back to Milan to celebrate. And now we have this situation in which we go from being able to win a probable triplete to being out of everything, and on top of this we lose Inzaghi. And had we thought more thoroughly about a substitute beforehand, that would have been okay-ish, but Kivu is also a downshift. It's true that when Inzaghi came after Conte, that was kind of the same, because it was kind of a downshift after Conte to have Inzaghi, and it turned out to be actually an upgrade. So, hope is still there, but we can't always count on hope. This is a big risk. It would have been a risk even if we had Klopp or Guardiola, because in any case you have to give time to these coaches to mold and forge the team according to their vision. But with Kiev, it's a huge risk, and on top of it all, it's a downgrade also in the ambitions. The finalist of the Champions League has a new coach who coached for a few months in his career. I mean, what kind of rationale is there behind this choice? I'll tell you what rationale there's behind. The fact that now management is free to do everything they want, that the players are not going to be sold because they're not going to revolutionize the squad. They're just going to retouch the squad here and there, which is probably the wrong decision to be made. So dark times ahead, and we have a club World Cup coming up in less than a week. So it's Inter is destined to live these sort of extreme emotions in the spectrum of life, and it's not always easy to bear that. Even after satisfactions like the triplete or even the championship, the Serie A that Conte won, we were all depressed because he left. And now we find ourselves with these three big losses on the three big trophies that we could have achieved. At least one of them we should have achieved. And what awaits us is a big question mark. About Inzaghi, I think he's totally entitled to do what he did, and everyone would have done the same. At this point, I like to think that he could have been a bit more open with the management about his decisions, and even with the team, because letting the team know about his departure so close to the final wasn't the right decision, as facts prove. And even trying to bring Barella and Bastoni with him in Arabia is also something that really strides and it collides with the image of Simone Inzaghi as such a great and elegant gentleman in everything that he does and touches at work. So it's a very bitter moment. I hope that Kivu will be able to let all these perplexities and doubts behind by showing something that he hasn't shown this far, because I only saw Kivu in Parma Inter basically, and yes, Parma deserved to win in the end, but the way that he started the match, it was horrible. We could have scored 5 goals in the first half, so he didn't exactly show to be solid. He has a team that's definitely worse than what Fabregas had at his disposal, so in that sense I'm okay with him, but it just is not the type of coach that makes the supporters dream, and this is what we need now. We need to dream after what we've been through in the last month and a half. So let's see what the transfer market will be. The choice of Kiwi is also about the 3-5-2 because the management wants to keep this sort of lineup. With Fabregas, things would have been a bit different, but maybe he could have brought Nico Paz. But you know, Fabregas, we want coaches that dream to come to Inter, not coaches that are in doubt between Como and Inter. So he definitely wasn't the right profile for us in the end. That's for sure. Let's keep our hopes high as we manage, and hope that the future will hold us some surprises, positive surprises. Thanks a lot for watching. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please punch the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. That's very important for me. Whoa! As always, Forza Magica Inter. Ciao.